What's up, Everyday Blades? I'm doing some work in the studio today, and thought maybe you guys might be interested in what I was doing. So, throwing the camera on. This is about skiff bearings. I purchased skiff bearings a couple of years ago, stuck them in a couple of knives at two different times, and the results were a little bit underwhelming. The actions were better, but they weren't enough better for me to spend $30 a knife at the time. Fast forward 2 years, I have some knives in my collection that I personally don't think will ever leave because they're so hard to find and I like them so much. Two of them are the Custom Knife Factory Evo 3. And not too terribly hard to find, but it will be. And this one's pretty hard to find with the satin blade on it. The Custom Knife Factory Marfion Collab Sokasha. And then this one, I just happened to find the bearings really quickly for this one, so I just threw them in the cart. I like this knife, don't get me wrong, but it's a production knife. It's not a epic knife like those. So I decided I was going to change out the bearings and of course clean them up real good and use my favorite pivot lube in the world, Gunny Glide. So just real quick, I've talked about this before. Gunny Glide is I've tried literally every pivot lube and oil on the planet that I can locate. They are all almost identical to me except for this. This is a noticeable, and I've heard this from lots of other guys. This is a noticeable difference. This one's pumpkin spice, smells like pumpkin spice. I have several different flavors and viscosities, and anyway, that lube is hard to find right now. I stocked up on it when I found out it was going to be hard to get. I have several bottles of it, which will probably last me a lifetime. But I promise you, God give you my word, if you use that pivot lube, you won't want anything else because it's a noticeable difference. The other ones, you just can't notice a difference. So that one KPL knife pivot lube, it's a good lube. They're all good lubes. They all do a very good job. This one does an exceptional job. Anyway, back to what I was talking about. So these two knives, the Evo and the Sokasha, come with the same bearings. They appear to be captive, either brass or bronze, probably bronze bearings. That's not the case. These are loose bearings in a race. I've had people argue with me about this, but if you I wipe a little alcohol on these and spin them around, every bearing will fall out. The grease is the only thing holding these in. So they're loose bearings to me. They work very well, but I wanted to upgrade them to a captive bearing. Then that's what skiffs are. They stay. You don't have to worry about losing one. The production knife, the Microtech, had plastic races on it, which I wasn't a huge fan of. Like, again, works just fine, but I wanted the brass or bronze or whatever it is. So figure for $26, $27 or whatever, I would try it. So I did 3. If I had to do it again, this one's an integral, by the way. If I had to do it again, I probably wouldn't do this one. It was a nice jump. The action is it's noticeably better, but for as much of a headache as it is to get that thing, and I've taken apart and put together a lot of knives, a lot of integrals. This one's a little bit of a pain. So for what little bit of payoff I got, I wouldn't do that one again. These, just like with the KPL, it's a noticeable difference. I mean, look at that. It's like butter. It's such a controlled drop. And I didn't even tune these. I just put them together and tightened the screw up. I'm serious. They're just fantastic. And this one too. Love this knife. Look at that. Love that little pop there at the end. Anyway, 100% would do these again. And since these were so good, I'm going to start ordering all bearings for all of my epic knives that I'm keeping that I don't ever plan on selling. And I may sell them. They're just my favorite knives. I've learned to never say I'm never going to sell a knife, because every time I say that, that's the one next knife that gets sold for some reason. Here is something cool that Skiff has, and it's completely unnecessary. I have lots of guys comment and say, you don't need that. If you can't, you ain't got a set of calipers. Well, this is so much easier. You just take the bearing and stick it in there, and it tells you the size of the pivot hole and the actual bearing itself and the thickness, so you can check what bearings you have, and then you don't have to use there's lots of knives listed on Skiff's website, but they're not all listed on there. There's still some more knives that their stuff will fit on that they just haven't ran across yet, or they haven't tested. So if you want to change your bearings out, order one of these. They're cheap. I don't think this was expensive. Measure your bearings and then order you some bearings, and this will tell you exactly if they're going to fit or not. Another thing about this one is this stupid production knife has proprietary hardware. I mean, it looks kind of cool, but I don't think you need that on a production knife. Get you one of these. This is a door card tool, door panel tool for cars. For taking these things are like a couple bucks. These are awesome for taking knives apart. When you first get all the screws off and you can't quite get it apart, literally you just stick it in there and it'll just pop it off. One of my favorite tools that I own. Don't know how I would get by without it. And my number one driver, of course, is my big burly Scout Leather, the big fat driver. And you got to have one of these. So I'll go through my whole toolkit again. It's been revised quite a bit since the last time I did that, but there's pretty much no knife I can't rebuild with it. I got like novelty drivers in here. This one's solid zirconium. I don't ever hardly use it. I did when I first got this thing. May still be. Now, it's a little bit of a pain to get in. See? Well, look at that. Gotta be careful with this crap, man. Some of this stuff, they made it out of high-end materials, and they sure did a shitty job making it. Yeah, I have to get who wants to get a pair of pliers and take this shit out? Yeah, it's cool. It's solid zirconium. Probably $150 or $200 dryer. I didn't pay that. I got it secondhand from somebody, and I'll have to put some epoxy in there and epoxy that back. But use the good stuff. The Scout Leather is good stuff. See if there's anything else in here I needed to talk about. And keep your proprietary stuff. This is for Microtech. Hinderer, Strider. I have pretty much all of them. Hinderer. Keep all your proprietary stuff, even if you don't have the knife anymore, because if you're a knife collector for a long time, you're going to have that knife again. And I think I have pretty much all of them. I can take, unless it's some strange custom, I can take it apart. So, guys, thanks for watching. Short story long. Skiff bearings are worth it, especially if it's a knife you're going to keep and a knife you really treasure. Take a gamble on it. Worst case scenario, it's going to be the same, and you know you have a quality bearing in there, probably better than the one that's in there. So, guys, thanks for watching. God bless you and your families. Say a prayer for our country. Good night.